Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cellular Healing TV. I'm your host, Meredith Dykstra, and this is episode number 182. We have our resident cellular healing specialist, Dr. Dan Pompa, on the line, of course, and today we welcome very special guests, Jon and Missy Butcher, and we have a very fun topic for you guys today. We are going to be digging into the world of coffee, and we all love coffee. We drink it a lot, and we've talked about it here on Cellular Healing TV before, but we're going to really dig into the ins and outs of coffee and some of the risks of coffee and a lot of the benefits and how to make your healthiest coffee choices possible. So before we dig into the interview, let me tell you a little bit about the Butchers. Jon Butcher is chairman of the Precious Moments family of companies. Missy Butcher is CEO of Lifebook and president of Purity Coffee. Together, they have founded 19 companies organized around causes that matter. Their life is centered on their relationship, their 4 children, and their work. Jon and Missy are passionate about world travel, fine wine, beautiful homes, contemporary art, and capitalism. Their purpose on this planet is to create the highest possible quality of life for themselves and the people they love while helping others around to do the same. So welcome, Jon and Missy, to Cellular Healing TV. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks. Great to be here. Thank you.
So happy to be here.
Well, saying that you're special guest, I think it's putting it mildly. I mean, you all are friends of Marilee and ours, and maybe Marilee can pop in. I saw her. I don't know if she was looking quite presentable yet, just, kind of naked. But anyway, maybe that's even a better show. So
bring her out immediately.
Anyways, look, yeah, I just love and adore both of you. And, Lifebook, we have so much to talk about. We're going to get into the coffee, but, Lifebook changed Marilee and I's life. And Lifebook, if you know, is those watching and listening. Matter of fact, you might want to throw up a little extra bonus for Lifebook because it really changed our life. It's not just about living life randomly. Lifebook is about planning your life. And I'll tell you what, 1 year after I did it, Jon, my life transformed. And I looked back, and Marilee and I both, and we realized, holy cow, just setting those intentions in our life and what we accomplished. Literally, it's not goal setting, folks. I mean, it literally is much different than that. But we're going to have you on for another show on that, by the way. So, yeah, let's do that. Meredith, put that right in your thinking cap.
All right. Yeah, that's a whole different topic.
We did a show on wine with Todd White, Dry Farm Wines. And, man, I'll tell you what, it was a huge show and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of viewers. Well, coffee, come on. I know more people drink coffee, but there's a lot about coffee that we need to know. You have been so involved, both of you, in this coffee, the history of coffee, the health of coffee. And right before the show, I thought you said something really important. Right now, we are at a pivotal place about coffee. Kind of talk about the little bit of history of coffee, and why you said that right now we're at a really important place, because coffee is an absolute health food. I'm convinced of it. Years ago, I told you this. I did some videos talking about the benefits of coffee, even caffeine. And, I took some hits. I don't think I did that today. I would take some hits. But talk about a little bit of the history of coffee and why today you feel we're at a really turning point.
Okay. So it's super fast subject. Coffee was first discovered in the 1300s in Arabia. And how they discovered it, there's these monks running out in Ethiopia, running around, just keeping track of their goats. And all of a sudden, one day they saw that their goats were behaving strangely. They had all kinds of extra energy, right? They're jumping all over the place. And they realized that they'd been eating these coffee beans. And so that's how coffee first was discovered in Ethiopia. And they began to understand the properties, these amazing properties.
Jon, I have to stop you right there because I'm literally holding back this hilarious belly laugh because the Pompas discovered coffee because my wife was acting strange. I swear to God, this is a true story. So we moved into a new house and it had one of those the Mila machines, right? Like in the wall. Is that how you say it? The Mila? It's the
yeah.
Anyway, so she decided she was going to make a cup of coffee because she was tired. And all of a sudden I'm like, where's Marilee, right? She's outside in the driveway picking up sticks, as she told me, like she was like, oh my God, then she's just chattering. She was cleaning, cooking. That whole night, I swear to God. So the goats were acting strange.
Well, the way the goats were
acting so strange, and I said, I've got to try this stuff because I never drank coffee growing up, So anyways, goats in Maryland.
So over the next couple hundred years, human beings had to really start to position how they felt about coffee. There were a lot of people, like for instance, some popes called it the devil's drink and outlawed it, and there was actually a time in history where there was a death penalty for drinking it. It was like a highly illegal substance. They called it the devil's juice. And so it went through a really interesting history all the way up until the 50s. And this is where the modern story starts, because in the 50s is when they really jacked up coffee's reputation. They did a lot of studies in the 50s that basically linked coffee to hundreds of diseases and disorders, including pancreatic cancer and breast cancer and all kinds of things like that. And that's when coffee got its bad reputation as a vice, as an unhealthy substance. Here's the thing about those studies, and this is across the board. The University of, well, let's see, the Mind Body, there's 3 organizations, the Mind Body University, some major, the New England Journal of Medicine, and a major university, I'm thinking it's Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, that's what it was. They took a look at all the data collected in the 60s, and they controlled that data for heavy alcoholism and cigarette smoking. What they found is that those early studies failed to differentiate between heavy coffee use and heavy smoking and heavy alcoholism, which Dan, back in the 50s, it was 3 martini drinks at lunch and everyone was smoking 2 packs. It was Mad Men, right? That whole deal. When they controlled the studies, when the New England Journal of Medicine controlled those original studies, removing data from people who are abusing their bodies another way, the findings on coffee literally reversed. So all of those original studies have literally been debunked by the greatest scientific institutions in the world. And what's happened since the 50s is there have been 19,000 studies conducted on coffee and health. It is the most widely researched food product on earth. It's also, I believe, the 3rd largest food commodity on earth. So we're talking about a massive, massive business here. And these 19,000 studies prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that coffee is in a class by itself when it comes to health and wellness properties, specifically for disease prevention, but in a number of different categories. And this is information that consumers don't have. Now, the interesting thing about this is, here's the story of how we started Purity Coffee. Our partner, Andrew Salisbury, who's a Lifebook member and one of our dearest friends, his wife was having health issues and they couldn't figure it out. They felt that it was around adrenal fatigue, but the bottom line is she had no energy. So she was drinking coffee to try to
like a lot of coffee,
yeah, to try to compensate and get energy. And the first thing Andrew wanted to discover is, well, with all this coffee she's drinking, yeah, is it healthy or unhealthy for her? So he started doing a little bit of research, and that's when he discovered these 19,000 studies. He brought them to me and he said, John, I've discovered something that is so profound that no one seems to know. Even doctors, even chiropractors that we know, so many hundreds of chiropractors that we talk to don't have this information. He sat down and shared it with me, and I was blown away. You guys, you can go to puritycoffee.com, click on the health benefits of coffee, and read what I'm talking about. It will blow your mind. 65% reduction in Parkinson's, 40% reduction in Alzheimer's, 40% reduction in your chance of getting type 2 diabetes, any liver disorder. It's nuts. And I'm talking about 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day versus non-coffee drinkers. 18% longevity increase from coffee drinkers that drink non-coffee drinkers. It's in a class by itself, but nobody knows this information. So we started down the path of figuring out how to create the world's healthiest coffee. And that's how this whole thing started, because of Andrew's wife's health problems, all these scientific discoveries that we made, And then we started hooking ourselves up with the leading professors, doctors, and coffee scientists in the world. And that's when we were really able to dial in this formula. So I'm sure I just got way ahead of myself, Dan. So you just go ahead and
yeah, no, it's good, because I do believe you have the healthiest coffee on the planet, and you know, and how you came about that.
We've tested that coffee now against 49 leading brands.
78.
Well, 78 coffees, 49 brands. 49 leading brands representing 80% of the coffee market. And our coffee is the healthiest in the world by a mile.
So far.
With two criteria. We're looking at two criteria there. We have the most of the good stuff, which is the antioxidants, the CGAs, the lipids that are healthy for you, and the least of the bad stuff, which is all the toxins. That's what we've been spending the last 2 years of our life dialing in. And Dan, as you know, you can feel it in your body.
Yeah.
You can feel it, not just taste it.
No doubt about it. Well, look, and I looked at those comparisons as well. And, you know, no doubt, I think in our health niche, as we would call it, there's a very, very popular coffee that everybody's drinking. And no doubt yours blows it away. Just
in every way.
in every way. But, you know, let's just back up 1 second, though, because I think that you also said something else when we were talking before the show. That, look, there's never been the health component brought into coffee.
Right.
Coffee, yes, we can look at these studies and realize there's so many amazing benefits, but processing of coffee, we really screwed a really good thing up. I mean, this sounds the same as, you know, so many things. And by the way, when you're telling that story, that sounded the same as the fat story with Alan Keyes and what, you know, he did and how, you know, they made fat look really bad. And it just kind of never got out of, you know, what we thought about fats, right? And the same with coffee. But, you know, because of this, you know, man looks at faster ways to process things, and we end up screwing something really good up. Tell us what's bad in coffee and really what put you on, you know, the search for the best coffee.
Well, here's the main issue is that health benefits have never even been on the radar screen for coffee companies ever, because they've always been under this mistaken impression that they sell an unhealthy product.
Right.
Of the bad press that was given in the 50s, they don't understand the health benefits of what they're selling, so they're not focused on it. Coffee is sold basically on three purchasing criteria. Number one is cost. That's what all coffee companies focus on. How can we produce the best coffee we can with the least amount of money? Number two is convenience, where you buy it, you know, how to get it to you quick, when you want it, hot. And number three is flavor. These are the three criteria that companies use to sell coffee. What we're trying to do at Purity is adding a fourth criteria that we want customers to focus on, and that's health benefits. Cost is important. You know, you don't need to be buying coffee that's $150 a pound. Flavor is incredibly important, and so is convenience. But we're saying so is health, and we're the first coffee company that's going out there and asking consumers, don't you think that the healthiness of the coffee in your cup would be another reason, another criteria for you to make that purchasing decision?
And at Purity, we make every decision based on health first.
Which is
that comes first.
Dramatic difference for Purity coffee.
I don't think anybody else does that.
Nobody else does that. Yeah. Other companies are focused on cost, taste, and convenience. Right. We're focused on health, period.
Yeah.
Flavor is secondary, but the great thing is, you know, Dan, our coffee is one of the best tasting coffees in the world because it's so pure.
Right.
So here's what to look out for in coffee. As coffee is roasted, well, let me say this. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take you through our Purity health profile, because that really illustrates what to look out for that most companies don't do, and what we do at Purity that's different. So the first thing that we do, Dan, is we comb the world, the entire planet, for the healthiest green beans available, and we test them in 3 labs, one at the University of Brazil, one in Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal, which is our acrylamide lab, and one right here in Illinois for toxins. So we'll go out, we have 5 points in our sourcing criteria. Our coffee always has to be organic. Well, that just cut out 97% of coffee in the world.
Yeah.
Only 3% is organic. So that's what we're starting with. It's got to be organic. It's got to be completely mold-free, which means we have to find companies that don't use the standard processing where mold and mycotoxins can come up. It's got to be near zero defects, etc. So we've got very stringent sourcing criteria, and we're testing to find the world's healthiest green beans to start with. Could be from Java, could be from Costa Rica, could be from Brazil. That will change over the years as the new harvests come up. We test the very best companies with the new harvest. So that's where we start. Now we've got the healthiest green beans money can buy. And then our true black box, the thing that only we can do that nobody else can do, is our roasting protocol. And this is run by our lead scientist at the University of Brazil. She's arguably the world's leading expert on the subject of coffee and antioxidants. She's produced more papers on the subject than anybody else. And she's got a laboratory down there that's specifically dedicated to dialing in this roasting protocol. So what happens when coffee is roasted? This is fascinating, and most people don't understand this. When you roast that green bean, hundreds of chemical compounds come up and are destroyed, are created and destroyed in the process. As you roast coffee, the CGAs, the antioxidants, which are the good things, that's what makes coffee so miraculous, start to diminish. So the longer you roast it, the more the CGAs diminish. When you get down to the very, very dark French roasts, there are almost no antioxidants in that coffee anymore. They burned them all out. But another thing that happens as you're roasting coffee is a toxin called acrylamide diminishes. So acrylamide is going down, but there's another toxin called PAH. Let me see if I can get this right. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which what that basically is burnt, charred, like if you burn a steak, it's carcinogenic. Yeah. You don't ever want to eat burnt charcoal, right?
Yeah, it's very bad.
PAH starts to come up as CGAs go down and acrylamide goes down, and all the way through this dynamic process, there's a sweet spot that you can hit.
For each harvest.
For each harvest. That's within seconds of pulling that coffee out of the roaster. So what we do is we roast and test and roast and test until we find the absolute sweet spot where the healthy compounds are maximized and the unhealthy toxins are either completely eliminated or minimized, and that's why Purity is the healthiest coffee. And then we pack with nitrogen flushing to ensure that that coffee is as fresh the day we roasted it as the day you open the package. And that is what makes Purity the healthiest coffee available today. Now that is an almost impossible production practice for a big established coffee company to integrate into their system. It's very difficult to retool. It's a lot easier for a new company like us to design their entire business model around that than it is for an older company to try to integrate those best practices. They're not set up for health.
No. Plus, I mean, half of what we do is testing.
Right.
Half is sourcing and testing. That's really.
And we found you guys that coffee companies don't test. They certainly don't test for health.
Nobody even knows that you should test coffee.
No, exactly. That was one of the things that I spoke about the wine. That they test because there's 76 additives that are allowed in your average American wine, and they don't have to be on the label. I would say coffee is the same. Yeah, this kind of brings up the whole thing with roasting, right? I mean, what you just described goes far beyond whether it's a dark roast, medium roast, or a light roast. But I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about. The dark roast, of course, you're getting way too much of those burnt PAHs, and then of course the light roast.
The light roast, you might be getting too much acrylamide.
That's right, exactly. So that balance is key. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you would call yours a medium roast, but it goes beyond that. I mean, obviously.
Well, and the other thing, Dan, this is really important what Missy said. This changes from harvest to harvest. Coffee's like grapes. The 2000 Bordeaux vintage is totally different than the 2001.
Yeah.
Same grapes,
same situation,
same plants, but completely different attributes of 2000 vintage to 2001. Coffee behaves the same way. So we can't just say, okay, this year we're buying our coffee from the Datura facility in Brazil, and we're going to hit the roasting protocol. We're going to dial this coffee in. can't use that formula next year. First of all, Brazil might not win the contest next year. Next year, we might be going to Ethiopia or Java. Secondly, that harvest has got to have a roasting protocol developed to maximize.
It needs to be tested first.
Right.
And then you can
And so
decide.
every year we're doing the same process, and that's what ensures the healthiest coffee in your cup.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's some health coffee people out there, they're testing for molds and things like that. I mean, my gosh, you're going so far beyond that. I mean, it is like the best wines. You talk to great winemakers, and they're saying, look, you have to start with a great grape.
That's right.
It's like, if you start with a bad grape, I don't care what processes you put in.
You got it.
It absolutely does not matter. Yeah.
Right.
But if you start with a good grape, you can actually ruin the wine as well, even starting with perfect grape. So it is that perfect combination that you all are putting together in the coffee industry.
You start with beautiful coffee beans and mess it up.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So
Conscious coffee. That's what we're doing.
yeah, no, absolutely. Let's focus a little more. When I look at this, when you look at these studies, on coffee, and you say, my gosh, it's like this stuff is not just a health food; it's a superfood, literally. So I think it goes beyond. Yeah, we know the antioxidants. We can talk all about the antioxidants. But there's a lot of other antioxidant, superfoods out there. There's something else. I mean, I know that there's the benefits of even the caffeine, right? It's like, maybe it's all put together. Have you discovered anything else that you would say, yeah, this is, when coffee's done right, this is another aspect of why we think, it adds longevity?
Well, yeah, you're 100% right. You can't take a look at these decreases in your chances of getting these major diseases.
Yeah.
65%, 70%, 50, 40, and say that's just antioxidants. There's something else going on. You're 100% right about that. We do know there are hundreds and hundreds of healthy compounds in coffees. We also know that caffeine can be an incredibly beneficial substance in moderation. So, Dan, it seems like the three areas that we've discovered that coffee has the biggest impact on are mental performance, physical performance, and disease prevention.
Yeah.
Those seem to be the three big ones. So clearly when it comes to mental performance, caffeine is a winner. No doubt about that. You don't want to overdo it. And how you know you're overdoing it, by the way, simply listen to your body. We all know when we've overdone coffee. We get that little jittery feeling and we get all right. We know that. Everyone knows their threshold. With purity, your threshold is way beyond that because you don't get those bad side effects.
Because those come from mold usually and toxins.
You get a sustained healthy lift without any of that. So you can push the boundary a little bit more on purity coffee. But caffeine clearly contributes to intellectual precision, intellectual performance, quickness of mind. There are certain people that shouldn't do caffeine. Pregnant women, they say, should really limit or stay away from caffeine. And a few other categories of people need to watch it. But most people can tolerate caffeine in moderation, and it can be a healthy benefit. So that's mental clarity. When it comes to physiological performance, and all of these studies are full-on double-blind control studies by the greatest institutions in the world that prove coffee can enhance these various things. So physical performance is also a result of caffeine in moderation and some of these other incredible compounds in coffee. Disease prevention seems to be mostly the healthy compounds, specifically the antioxidants. But the numbers are so mind-bogglingly staggering that there's got to be something else going on. Now, one of our coffee board members, his name is Dr. Sanjeev Chopra. He's Deepak Chopra's brother, and they're awesome because Deepak is a liver specialist, and Deepak is an endocrinologist, and Sanjeev is a liver specialist. And these are literally the two areas that coffee has the biggest impact on: type 2 diabetes and any kind of liver conditions.
Liver disease.
Sanjeev Chopra has been talking about the health benefits of coffee for longer than any human we can find. Over 20 years. He just wrote a book called The Big Five, which, by the way, we're going to make available to chiropractors, and I'd love to share this with your tribe. I'm making a movie with Sanjeev this year about the Big Five. And what it is, it's Sanjeev. He's the ex-dean of Harvard Medical. The guy's a stud. And this is a book on his 5 highest leverage, easiest moves you can make to improve your health and wellness.
And your longevity.
And your longevity. Number 1 is drinking more coffee. Number 2 is eating more nuts. Number 3 is exercise. Number 4 is meditation. And number 5 is, am I going to get this?
Oh boy.
Hold on.
I hope he's not watching.
Did I say nuts?
Yeah, you said
Oh, vitamin D.
Oh yeah, vitamin D.
Vitamin D. Those are the 5 things. Drinking more coffee is number 1. And so he's done some wonderful work around this subject, and we're so excited to have him on our board.
Yeah, I would say light, sunlight, that goes even beyond vitamin D, right? I mean, there's so much more about sunlight even than vitamin D, but vitamin D is absolutely huge. So yeah, I mean, matter of fact, Meredith, people right now are probably saying, okay, how do I get their coffee? Tell them how to get it. So, we don't
this
have to.
coffee is so hard to make that we only have 4 bags a year. And between me and Dan and Meredith, it's all sold out already.
No, that's not true.
Oh, I hope not. You guys are going to have to ramp up the production. If you're listening, you're watching, you want to try out Purity for yourself, go to getpuritycoffee.com and you can grab a bag to try for yourself. It's good stuff. We had it at Dr. Pompa at your doctor training event in Atlanta a few months ago, and it was a huge hit. We had an amazing coffee bar with the Purity and lots of fun add-ons as well to kind of upgrade the experience with good fats and healthy sweeteners. So I'm kind of curious if you guys could share your personal coffee regime and how much you drink, what you like to put in it, and kind of what you do.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super simple. I used to have 1 strong cup of coffee in the morning because that's all I could tolerate. Now I can do 3 with Purity coffee because it's so pure. And I never, ever get any of that anxious feeling I used to get. And it's been such an amazing benefit to my life. I like my coffee black in the morning. I know a lot of people like to put fat in it and other things which can really enhance the experience. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like it when I first wake up. I want it to help me with my creative work. And then I have another cup in the afternoon after my nap, and I put cream and sugar in that coffee. Whole cream and raw sugar. Unapologetically, I know a lot of people don't do dairy and a lot of people don't do sugar. I personally don't think that it hurts me in those kind of quantities. And the happiness factor outweighs that anyway. So that's my deal. I have 4 cups of coffee a day. And you guys, that's in the range that all these studies were conducted that proved these disease prevention points. All these studies were conducted around 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. That seems like the average optimal amount, if you can tolerate it. And if you can't tolerate it on other coffees, you should try Purity and see if you can tolerate it on Purity. It'll be a different deal.
I was just going to say that.
Caffeinated too.
Coming out natural. Now, why don't you share your coffee?
I'm kind of the same with John. I drink 3 to 5 cups, but I always put whole milk and sugar in mine. Not a lot, but whole milk and raw sugar. And I asked about this when we first started learning about coffee. We were down on one of the farms in Brazil, and the little, the cupper was making the things, and I was like, oh, I really like cream and sugar in mine. Is that not good to do? And they said it doesn't matter. You should drink your coffee however you like to drink your coffee.
Yeah.
What matters is the coffee. Making the coffee is the ingredients should be raw and pure and organic, obviously. So it's really however you like your coffee. Just drink 3 to 5 cups.
Dan,
I have to say, I like mine with, we get a raw cream and grass-fed, 100% grass-fed. And if I can't get that, then I get the grass-fed cream from Whole Foods, the organic grass-fed, 100% grass-fed. But I'll tell you, I think cream in coffee, I mean, there's something just very special about that. I mean,
do you sweeten yours, Dan?
What's that?
Do you sweeten your coffee?
I will use pure stevia extract.
Okay, nice.
I use very little. I can drink coffee without anything. I actually like every once in a while just a nice black coffee as well. So for me, it's like I like both. When I taste a black coffee, I taste a lot of the coffee. But when I put the real, raw cream in it, it brings on a whole nother, characteristic, of it. So, I love it that way. I'm not the big butter guy, MCT or coconut guy. To me, it takes away from the coffee. I think a little bit of cream does it. I think it enhances certain flavors. And I think black, you really taste, the coffee. So that's the way I like it myself. What about you, Meredith?
Oh gosh, well, I kind of rotate. I like coffee, but I also do matcha as well. So I kind of rotate. But when I'm doing coffee, sometimes it kind of depends on my mood. I love like a little organic heavy cream. Sometimes I do MCT oil or coconut oil. Sometimes blend in the grass-fed butter, the collagen, stevia. Like if I really want to like make an entire meal instead of eating any food, you just you put all of that in, and then that's a lot of calories in there.
I intermittent fast. So I don't like too much fat. I find it tends I get hungry earlier because it's at that point it's almost mimicking a meal. So the little bit of cream that I will put in, I find it doesn't, and it does nothing to my glucose levels, and I can continue intermittent fasting easier. So yeah, I mean that's the way I like it. And I'll tell you what, Warren and we travel. I mean Warren doesn't go anywhere without bringing the coffee. And Purity's, just we rave about it, man. Listen, at our event, we had, I'm telling you, when the coffee, it was huge. We get all of the feedback from our event. We had 300 some doctors at this event, and Friday night we had 500, of public. And I'll tell you, the feedback we got from the coffee guys, I mean, fantastic. We'll never do another gig without you all sponsoring it.
Can I just talk real quick, because we've done some really, really interesting things for chiropractors. Every company that Missy and I start, one of the first things we ask ourselves is, how can we help the chiropractic profession with this? We love you guys. We've had 700 chiropractors go through Lifebook. We developed a whole chiropractic system for Purity Coffee. Like everything we do, we try to support you guys. So
yeah, it's true. I vouch for that. Yep.
Yeah, one of the things that we have done is we've put together a series of talks and lectures that doctors can give for coffee with the doc, or dinner with the doc, or patient appreciation day, where they can take these amazing health benefits out into their community and educate their people. And we've got a nice little affiliate program if you want to get involved with that. We're making a movie with Dr. Sanjeev Chopra that we're going to be getting out to all of our chiropractors. And so we've got an incredible support program built around this for any chiropractor who gets passionate enough about it to maybe bring it into their office. Mm-hmm. The first step is to try the coffee. And Meredith, what was that URL?
It is at getpuritycoffee.com.
Right, getpuritycoffee. And that's a sample bag you get?
They go there, and then they can, I have a note here that's, where we would refer people to. So I haven't even checked it out, so I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out right now, but
I'm sure our team set that up. So getpuritycoffee.com, you can get your sample bag. And if you love it, take a look at our chiropractic packages, because our goal is to turn this message of coffee and health into a new patient play for chiropractors. You may be able to get in front of people you couldn't otherwise get in front of with these little coffee with the doc events, share some incredibly important information with them, give them permission to do what they're already doing from a health perspective, because most people still think it's a guilty pleasure, and help us push our mission forward while we help you push your mission forward. That's kind of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, we have gosh, hundreds and hundreds of chiros and doctors that watch this show. So there's great advice. And I think that we are now offering a free sample bag if we weren't before, Meredith. So you better make sure that happens.
All right, I will.
So somehow that just happened, and somehow then we better make sure that happens. We're going to get like hate mail. I thought I was getting a free bag. So now everyone's
giving you guys a free bag. We're going to.
And you better send me more. It's hard to keep it in stock here at the Pompa House. But no, listen, this is, you guys have taken, just like everything in your lives. I mean, I have to boast and brag about both of you, that you just take life from here to here in everything that you do. And, you're world changers. You are. Matter of fact, you all travel the world. That's probably how you ended up with some of the greatest coffee connections, I'm thinking, because you all have really, you've even schooled your kids, traveling around the world, which is something that Marilyn and I just really admire, from both of you, because today it's a world economy, and I tell my kids, after you graduate, go to Europe, and it's like, get out, because
we've hung out with your son, who's amazing all over the world. So we love that kid.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, he's, he went to Bali with you all, actually. actually. And
We're going to see him in
you know,
San Diego in a couple weeks.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he moved to San Diego, and you know, he was one of those kids that was like, Dad, I don't have anything in common with people going to college. I'm not into partying. I'm not into that. I said, Daniel, you can go to college anytime. And there was a point where he wanted to go to MIT, and I was reading, it's called Excellent Sheep, and how people were coming out of, you know, these schools, these higher end schools, you know, just like almost like robots. And I read passages to him. I changed his thinking on that. But I said, Daniel, you can always go to school.
Good job.
You know, follow your passion now. Follow what you got to do.
He's an impressive young man, and I agree with that path.
Well done.
He's going to be able to find his own thing that way.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter Olivia, she's been in Europe. She's done abroad. I mean, you know, she's been, you know, everywhere over there. And just for me, it's a prerequisite. You know, you got to learn the world economy. Anyways, we're off of coffee. We could talk about our families and kids, man. Meredith, you got to keep this on.
We can tie it in. We can tie it in. So, well, how about kids and coffee too? Do you guys let your kids drink coffee? How young were they when they started drinking it? What about that?
Okay.
Well, and our kids drink purity coffee, so I'm not sure, because kids are more sensitive. I'm not like Dunkin' Donuts and coffee that's really super low quality. I'm not sure you get the same effect, but our kids, we encourage them to drink coffee. You guys, it isn't a class by itself when it comes to health and wellness properties. Sanjeev Chopra refers to it as the life elixir.
Yeah.
It's really
it's medicine. It's plant medicine.
Right.
It's here for us to use to heal our bodies.
I agree.
For kids with ADHD, it is proven, there's been studies done on this, that coffee actually helps them stay focused.
Calm down and focus, yeah.
Our youngest has a touch of that, and it's amazing. It's
amazing. By the way, Missy, I just got goosebumps because you just talked about one of my passions. You know, we have all of these kids on psychotropic drugs, Adderall, which is a stimulant that calms them down, right? So an adult takes it, you know, we get, you know, up here, kids like that brings them down. So, I mean, why would you do that when God gave us something like coffee?
Right.
It does the exact same thing.
You know what I would suggest to any parent out there that's even remotely curious, just try it a little bit. Go get your bag, go get your free bag of purity coffee, and try it with your kid. Do a little cream and sugar so that they like the taste, and see what happens. It was instant for us. It was like, okay, this is really, really good for our kids. Yeah, no doubt. Daniel started doing blogging actually, and I have to remind him to do a show on coffee because, you know, I encouraged him to drink it, and my 17-year-old, you know, drinks it. And, you know, there's a thing, because I don't remember which child said, yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't because it stunts our growth. And that's a bunch of crap. That was just a junk study, if you even want to call it that started that, right? By the way, the doctors that were saying that were the same doctors that said smoke Lucky Strikes as opposed to Camels, right?
Yeah. So that your birth weight will be down when you're pregnant. Yeah, that's a great idea.
You know, our 13-year-old, we're starting a little company called Purity FGO. FGO stands for For Gamers Only, and because he's a gamer.
Yeah.
And what
they
these
drink
kids
poison.
They drink poison. They drink Monster. They drink Red Bull. Yeah. I mean, if you read these ingredients, they read like a friggin'. It's awful. And so the concept.
Drinks.
What we're going to do is create an energy drink, a coffee-based energy drink, all natural, organic coffee, whole sugar, or raw sugar, whole milk, and that's the only ingredients. And so he's got a passion to bring this pre-mixed coffee beverage energy drink to his tribe, which is a gamer's tribe, and try to replace some of that poison that they're drinking over there. That's going to be interesting to see.
Well, John, when you said that, you told me about that, you know, what you were doing. I said, oh my God, that's brilliant, because all the gamers, they do it for performance.
Exactly.
They sit in front of this EMF-laden machine, right? It's like, and you know, they're there trying to be the best they can be, trying to keep their focus, because they're, you know, they can't keep their focus for other reasons, right? The standard American diet, the medications they're on, whatever else. So what they're doing is they're taking these drinks that you mentioned. Those drinks are worse than a drug half the time. I mean, you wouldn't believe the ingredients on this. I mean, from colorings to stimulants, I mean, beyond belief.
I don't even know, Dan, I literally don't even know what half that stuff is. I tried I couldn't even figure it out.
Poison. It's absolute poison. So, you know, once again, you know, the Butchers, you know, making a difference, man. Always making a difference.
Thank you.
Right back at you.
Meredith always comes up
Awesome.
with some great questions. I'll turn it back to you.
Well, good stuff. And you guys have covered a lot today. I mean, we talked about a lot of different topics on coffee. It's an amazing topic. You guys are all so passionate about it, and it's so fun. And I know all of you listeners and viewers are going to be really excited to try your sample bag as well, because I think you'll love it as much as we do. And just kind of, well, in conclusion, you know, Jon and Missy, we kind of like to type the shows with 3 key points that you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners on coffee, on this topic, why they need to care about it. What are 3 key points that you'd like to share kind of as we conclude?
I'll give you 3 quick key points, but I'm going to do it quick because we have 4% battery life left.
Woo, perfect.
All right.
So here's what I would say, you guys. The first thing you want to do is you seriously want to understand the true health benefits of coffee.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, puritycoffee.com, to the health benefits of coffee section. You need to know what coffee really can do. It's miraculous. It'll blow your mind. And if you don't go to our site, go somewhere else. Find out the true health benefits of coffee.
But we've gathered a bunch of,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
these
easy to
results.
see on
Yeah,
our site.
There's a lot of information.
We've laid it out well.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. It's well worth it for you to understand what this miraculous superfood can do. The second thing is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get consumers to add one more purchasing criteria to their set, which is health. People buy on taste, they buy on convenience, and they buy on price. What we're saying is it's also a good idea to consider the health benefits of coffee, because not all coffee is created equal. Some of these coffees, look, they're made in third world countries. We've been to these facilities before. If you went to some of these facilities, you'd never want to drink coffee again. There are real differences between coffee companies. And so, you know, so using health as a criteria to purchase your coffee, we feel is a good idea. And that's what we're trying to get, to shift that consumer conversation and get consumers to focus on that. And then the last thing, you guys, is this. You should be drinking more coffee. Most people should. Pregnant women have to watch it, and there are a few other
Very
segments,
specific.
very specific,
Yeah.
specific segments of people that need to watch it a little bit. But for the vast majority of people out there, there are major health benefits in consuming 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. So those are our recommendations. Understand the health benefits. Understand that not all coffee is created equal, and drink more coffee.
And pick up the Big 5.
Yeah, the Big 5 by Dr. Sanjeev
Great
Chopra
one.
lays out this whole thing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a pleasure spending time with you, Dan. Every time we get a chance to spend time with you, it's precious to us. So thanks.
Yeah. Likewise. Yeah, we adore and appreciate you both.
Okay.
Give Marilee a
Awesome.
I will.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Butchers. Thank you, Dr. Pompa. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And getpuritycoffee.com if you want to try your sample bag. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.